What's up, guys? It's me, Chris Michael, with...
Shane Patrick Cruz.
You had to think about it.
Well, no, this table is like...
Yeah.
Anyways.
It looks like a chalkboard.
It does.
Okay, we're here again at the Aloft Hotel in the West End area of Richmond.
Yep.
Super awesome. Actually, last time we were here, it was nighttime. It looks a lot different during the day. A lot less vibrant, but...
We still got the, like, old school...
Doesn't look like the Matrix this time.
Yeah.
So again, we're just going to let you know that we're in the lobby of a hotel, and so if there's some background noise, just excuse it. It shouldn't be bad. It wasn't bad in the other episodes, even though we literally had somebody vacuuming near us.
Yeah.
So it can't be as bad as it was last time.
No.
We picked a super meta topic for this episode. It's kind of funny because we're going to be talking about exactly what we're doing right now, and then obviously some other aspects of what we're going to dive into. Do you want to tell them what the topic is?
Video branding and why you should be utilizing video to your advantage.
So I think it's...
And real quick, try to, because it's a pain in the butt later when I get to try to do the, we're going to keep all this on camera because you need to know this for filming. When you put subtitles in your videos, you need to slow it down.
Yeah, I talk fast. I've always done that. I'm born
you
and raised.
You enunciate well, but we need to slow the conversation down. Because when you get later into the program that does all the subtitling, the reason some of our videos have not have subtitling on it is because I literally cannot put it on there as fast as Chris talks.
I get told this almost every day in my life. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I got a loud Italian family. If you don't get your messaging quick, no one's going to hear you. But anyway, this is a topic that I think me and Shane can both speak on super confidently because Shane actually works and owns a media company.
And have for 4.5 years.
Yeah,
yep.
He's done tons of things in the world of video, and now I've stepped into that world to work with Shane and partner with him to create branded videos that help raise awareness of what it is that I do and to help communicate a higher value than my competitors, and we're going to get into all that and more, but I wanted Shane to give you maybe his background in video and just give himself a little bit of credibility so you guys know why to listen to this.
Yeah, so I started a video production company and media company about 4.5 years ago. Sold my original one and restarted on my own because I had it with a business partner. And I have done everything from create videos for Fortune 100 companies all the way up to shooting a pilot for Netflix. I mean, I've worked for some pretty big people. So, and then also consulted for them on how they should take that video and then utilize it on their social media in a branding standpoint. So, my main background is actually in video, even though I've been doing magic for 20 years. Video professionally now for 4.5 years, but also still performing as well. So I get to see both sides of it. As a company right now, as a performer especially, you need to be utilizing video in your marketing and online. Right now, the biggest platforms are obviously Instagram and YouTube. You should definitely be using those.
Facebook and LinkedIn too, though.
Facebook and LinkedIn, but here's the deal with that. So just as a quick marketing 101 on what's going on right now in the world of social media and what's prevalent. So Instagram and YouTube is anybody that used Facebook for the longest time, and you still should have a Facebook page as a business, as a performer.
Definitely.
You should still have that as another avenue to put content on. And people still will go to see if you have a Facebook page.
And it houses
when they're
reviews.
looking you up. Right,
Plus,
and it has reviews on there.
A lot of people, if they can't find photos of you on Google, a lot of the time they don't know where to look, so they'll go to Facebook to try to find photos. That's usually the next step. So it's a really good place for you to put video or put photos, and when they're looking at photos, obviously what's right next to the photos is going to be video. So it will trickle into watching your videos there, but continue.
So Facebook, though, has changed over the years to not... it's basically a pay-to-play platform now.
Yeah.
Like the only real way to get seen on Facebook nowadays is to pay for ads. You still need to put content on there, but really it's meant to pay for ads. The good part about that is Instagram, obviously owned by Facebook. Instagram's still a huge platform, but you notice how Facebook changed to be like what I call ad prevalent. Like, so you pretty much only see ads on there. Instagram has started to be that way. Instagram is inching closer and closer to being a pay-to-play platform as well. But as far as marketing dollars, Instagram stories is still the lowest entry cost into targeted ads that you can run for your business. And you should be running video ads. YouTube has also made a push to be a prevalent platform as well. And as an entertainer, you should, by all means, have video. A lot of you guys have professional photos out there, which is a great
Right.
start, but a singular static photo does not convey what a video can convey.
Absolutely.
As far as the atmosphere that's
Right.
created,
The
as
energy.
far as the energy, as far as your personality,
perform for.
who you perform for. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that you could be doing video-wise, and I'll be going into a couple of ways that you can start doing that on your own without having to hire anybody to shoot video for you later on in the podcast. So.
Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube is probably the biggest. The most organic eyes, and by organic I mean without reaching people without having to pay for them. The most organic views right now and the best ROI for you is to be on Instagram stories. You should be creating Instagram stories at least. You can do them in Instagram stories are done in 15-second increments. You should be at least creating 15 of those a day, right?
And naturally, because Facebook owns Instagram, they work in a way that a lot of the time, and I actually don't really think that this is that valuable because nobody looks at their Facebook stories in my experience, or at least
Right,
not
they
a lot
look
of
at
people.
Instagram.
Right, they'll look at Instagram, but it does double up in the amount of content you make because
Yeah.
just if you take the time and effort to make an Instagram story, it will carry over to Facebook.
Yeah, so just click the button to share your story over to
Right.
Facebook stories. So then you double your content. The great thing now, though, and of course you want to be putting content on YouTube and promoting it on YouTube. The great thing now is Facebook used to penalize you, right, in their algorithm and how they pushed you out to people if you were putting YouTube links on your Facebook. Facebook in the last 4 months has actually changed that. They now promote YouTube links. So all of those videos, if you guys are out there and you're watching this and you have your performance videos on there or you have your promo video on YouTube, now is a good time to start pushing that video link out onto Facebook. You also mentioned LinkedIn. If you are going to be performing for the corporate market, LinkedIn is your best place to be putting content for. Because LinkedIn is still mostly a business-centered platform. It's also got the best organic reach out of any of the platforms put together. So,
And there's this, I actually noticed this just during the Super Bowl party I was performing at in this mansion down in Raleigh. A lot of really high-level executives, a lot of really successful scientists, some really high-end and high-dollar clientele were there. And I was overhearing some conversations about people talking about LinkedIn. They weren't talking about Facebook or Instagram. They were talking about things they liked that they saw on LinkedIn. And one of them, actually, they told me, they were like, oh yeah, because when they found out there was a magician at the party, one of them mentioned a magician that they found on LinkedIn. And it blew my mind. And again, there's this class system almost where people who are really involved in their work and their work really surrounds their life, entrepreneurs, for instance, or high-level business leaders, a lot of them are going to spend their effort and time on LinkedIn because that's where they'll find like-minded people.
Right.
A lot of people want to have close proximity and close relationships with people like them. So, and one quick thing too is Shane's going into where videos go. I also am going to, in a moment, talk about why that's important, and then hopefully you'll be able to go into the how of it. So,
so basically what I'll do is, here in a little bit, is I'll break down one video and how you can use that, how you should use that video on the separate platforms. We'll get into that here in a minute.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about me and Shane being able to talk about this is not only is Shane an amazing video worker, but he's also a performer and a magician or a mentalist himself. And now, since the beginning of October, how many months is that? Have we been together? 3 or 4 months? 4 months.
Yeah,
He's
5
also
months.
traveled with me and put out content for the past 4 months. So he knows kind of the ins and outs of how to work somebody who's gigging a lot, and he understands the busy schedule and some of the objections and things that come up for this. So he's really worked the gambit of being a performer himself, working in video, and working with other entertainers. So many resources online that give you information about video branding are not targeted for performers.
Yeah.
So this is some really niche information, and I hope that you guys can really take in what Shane says because he's changed my viewpoints entirely on how I run my business and much for the better. So,
And we're going to tell you too how you can not only why you should be putting video content out, but where to put the video content out, and then how to leverage that video content in order to gain more leads and boost your
Right.
business.
So to start, we kind of told you where these videos are going to go, because we think you can't really have the proper mindset of what we're talking about if you don't know what environment it's taking place in. So between the 4 social media platforms, which again, let me tell you this, you're positioned so well as an entertainer to make videos because we're doing something interesting. And you know why people spend time on social media? Because they're killing time looking for something interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they also go to be educated.
Yeah, there's only 2 reasons people go to social media. They want to be entertained or educated. And if
Right.
you're not doing one of those, they're going to click over you. They're going to just scroll right past
the
you.
entertainment is a lot, in a way, it's almost more shareable because it can go to really any of their friends and family that they think would enjoy it. Education is a little bit more difficult for that to spread like wildfire because they need to send that to people who can benefit from that information, which more often than not, that's a very specific group of people. And, you know, if you look at Instagram right now and you scroll through, there's a lot of ads for things that don't pique your interest. It's a lot of insurance ads or ads about investing and things that I personally just don't feel that I want to watch an ad for. But as an entertainer, if you can show people having fun and give them a good time, and a lot of the ads I see for entertainers are just genuinely enjoyable videos with no sales pitch other than a call to action at the end.
Yeah.
It's just it's so cool. So I think it's important for us to mention that, you know, don't be intimidated by the other guys that are on there killing it and crushing with ads, because as an entertainer, naturally, I think that you'll flourish a little bit easier.
Yeah. So what kind of video content can you create on your own without actually having to hire a professional to come in and shoot video for you? The one quickest thing to do is literally just buy a cheap camera. You can even buy a GoPro, which is $300. You can buy a Panasonic G7 on sale for like $400. You can look on Facebook Marketplace. Buy a camera that at least shoots really good 1080. You don't need 4K. And so you can buy a good Panasonic, you can buy a Canon. My suggestion as far as cameras go is when you're looking for a camera, don't buy the kit. That is my professional advice. Do not buy the Canon that comes with the 18 to 55 millimeter 3.5 lens, right? Don't buy that. The lens, this is just a quick gear thing. The lens is more important than the camera itself. For instance, this camera that I have on here is an expensive camera. It's a Sony a6400 that we film with. I film 100% of the time.
How much
with
would that
this
run?
camera. That camera runs $1,200.
Okay.
But that's not the most important part. The most important part is actually the lens that's on it is a Sigma 15 to 50 lens, and it's a 2.8. So just quick gear thing here. When you're looking for a lens, you need to find something that is at least 2.8 millimeters. I'm not going to get into why that is, but that's what you need. So if you look up Sigma, and you want a zoom lens too, right? You want a lens that it's wide in the 15 to 18 millimeter range, all the way up to at least 50 millimeter. That way you can get in close and you're going to have a wide shot too, right? And then you want it 2.8 because a lot of in performance environments where we perform, the lighting is darker. So therefore you need that 2.8 is how much the lens can let light in, right? So you want a lens that can let more light in. Those lenses that you get in the kit don't do that. They aren't good at that at all.
Do not excuse that idea of it being dark when you're performing, because I remember Shane would tell me all the time, like, well, a lot of the environments I'm in aren't that dark. They're dark.
They're
especially
dark.
for a camera. They're dark.
Yeah,
and you may
they're
not
dark.
be used to it like you might not be doing enough galas or hotel ballrooms that are dimly lit and kind of got this ambient environment, but those do come up and you want to be prepared for when they do.
Yeah.
But even in an environment like even in a festival, if you've got a crowd of people around you blocking the light, that can create a dark situation.
Yeah.
We were in a gym the other day that was super well lit at the YMCA.
Yeah.
And even that, like some of the footage can look a little bit dark just
Yeah.
because it's if you're not outside filming in a sunny day, it's gonna look a little dark when you're performing. So just
Yeah.
keep that in mind. Like that was one thing Shane always told me, that I was like, dude, it's not that dark where I perform, and I've
It
been
is.
trained to pay attention to it, and compared to everywhere else, it is.
Here's my suggestion if you're going to buy a camera at all. Look into the Sonys. They are the best out of any brand in low light situations. You can literally buy a Sony a6000 for like a few $100. Then look into a lens. The cheapest lens that you can get, I would probably get like a 28 millimeter You can get a Sigma 28 millimeter for like $150, $200. Spend a decent amount if
What's the
you're gonna
lowest you would be willing to spend to get good footage for a lens?
Um, well, I mean, it depends. I mean, you can get a decent. I think this lens right here, this Sigma 15 to 50, ran me like um, 250 bucks,
Oh, okay.
280 bucks, which is a good price for a lens. That's as much as you can. That's as much as you should be.
Yeah.
And if you can only afford one lens, that's like one fixed, what's called fixed lens, so not a zoom lens, but literally one focal length. Go for the wider. Go for like an 18
Okay.
millimeter, 16 millimeter.
Man, I'm learning
Um,
a lot in my own podcast
I
today.
think a Sony 16 millimeter lens, which is 2.8, will run you $200.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's on that, right?
So you've got the
as
gear
far
now.
as what to record, the reason that you can buy your own camera is literally set it because you need footage of your show. So here's my suggestion. You need two separate angles, but you only have one camera. So over two shows, you're going to be recording two videos. The first show, set your camera at the back corner of the room, so it's diagonal to you in the center of the room, and record the full wide shot. Now
If you have a GoPro, you can get both at the same time. You can actually clip it to a stool at the back of the stage.
Right, but
have
that's
it
two
face.
cameras.
That's two cameras.
So
I'm
this is just for one
This is just a
camera.
pro tip that I've been told before. If you
Right,
want to
yeah,
cut
you
down
can
the
do
amount
that.
of
And
time.
I've done that too.
Because
So-
some people are not going to have, like, I remember when I was starting, I was like I had to have two shows where the audience looks packed, and like that was a lot for me when I was first starting. So you can double up, but
you have to buy a second camera.
yeah, you do,
And
or
a
rent
GoPro
one.
will run you $300.
Yeah, easily.
So a good GoPro will run you $300. So you set it up at the back corner of the room, so you get the wide shot. Now you get you performing, and make sure that you can see the stage clearly. Don't set it behind people. Buy a tripod. You can buy a tripod at Best Buy for like $30. You can buy one probably even cheaper on Amazon. Make sure the tripod goes up to at least 50 inches, because if people are sitting down, you need to get above the crowd so that you can see over top of the crowd and see the stage clearly. That
Goes without
is the
saying.
most important.
Put it in a low traffic area where people aren't going to be walking in front
Yeah.
of it. I actually, when
Yeah.
I first started, rented a camera from my school library at VCU. The university would lend out cameras for students. And I waited weeks to get it. I got it right before the show I wanted it for. I set it up, and not even kidding you, I still have this footage too. There's a guy he's wearing a white shirt with a Christmas hat. He walks in front of the camera twice. On the third time, he stands in front of it with his drink. So I'm getting like this over the shoulder shot, and at one point he blocks one of my entire routines.
Yeah,
And
so-
he just didn't see the camera, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so if you're, I would make a suggestion then on that note. Just make a sign that says "Do not block camera" and put it on the front of the tripod, so that people, and make it really big so that people can see it when they walk by. Like,
Right.
do
I
not
should've
stand
done
in
that.
front of the tripod, right? So that's the first one. Then on the second show, do it from the back of the stage behind you like to the right, and then at a slight angle, so that you get a little bit of view and you get all of the audience reactions. So now you have two things. You have footage of your show, right? Of the entire show. It's very good if you can have footage of your entire show, because a lot of times, especially in the corporate environment, they'll ask you, can you send me footage of your entire show? And then on further note,
Yeah.
if you try to get into if you're trying to perform in like a magic theater, like a theater that's specifically for magicians,
Or
and
cruise
they bring
ship. Cruise ships
magicians
do this
in,
all
or
the time.
cruise ships,
By the
they're
way-
going to want a full footage of your show.
This does not mean they always watch the whole thing. In
No,
my
but you need
experience,
it.
I have sent out my full video at least 100 times. I think once or twice. I know of one for sure, but I would bet one other time. I know for a fact they have watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
That does not happen all the time. But
No.
I don't know why I'm even going into that, but just know that's not, the reason for having it isn't so they can watch your whole show and judge it and think that it's good. Don't get that confidence killer where you think that the video is not going to communicate your show as well as it will in person. They usually understand that, but a lot of time it's just to get a sense for the look of your show and kind of your energy, what style you are. They'll click through and drag through and maybe watch 2 minutes of it. So
Yeah.
that's mostly the purpose of of it. So it doesn't have to be the best, most pristine video you've ever seen.
Right. They just literally need it just to see what it looks like.
They want to
I've
make sure
even
you're a
had-
real performer, a real
Yeah.
person, not a robot.
Yeah, and I've even had them say, "Hey, how long is your show?" And I go, 45 minutes. They go, "Send me the last 15 minutes." Right? So now they know how you're in your show, or they're like, "Send me the first 50." I've had one say, "Send me the first 15 minutes of your show." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So because I have the entire show, so now you have both angles, and you can literally get on. They have free editing software that you can get online, and just put those two clips together. Just
Yep.
cut from the back of the house shot and then the behind you shot. Just cut back and forth. Here's the other. Now you have why have that footage, right? So there's a couple reasons. Number one is for you personally.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've gone back through literally every show.
I don't want to
that
get
I
into
can-
this in this one because I think that this is like, I think that this is great, but I think that this is covered in so many magicians podcasts about the importance of recording your show. You could talk about it a little bit, but I don't want to get too deep into
No,
that.
I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to mention it. So yeah, you want to go back and look at your
Right.
show, right? That's part of it. But the other reason is now you have performance footage that you could put on your website, that you could put on YouTube, that you could put on Facebook, that you can send out to clients.
Right.
Like, that is the other main piece of why you want that recorded, right? Obviously, if you have two cameras, even better. In fact, if you want to get even simpler than that, but you're going to need some editing skills, you can buy a 360 camera, and literally, here's you, here's the audience. You set the camera up directly in between you, and you can go in and editing software
When he says
afterwards.
360, not 360p, like 360
Yeah, it
all the way
records a
around.
360-degree video. So then you can go in editing afterwards and literally get any angle you want. I'm not going to get into it. Look it up. You can look up Insta 361X is a great camera. GoPro has a great 360 camera, and those are like the same as a
Yeah.
regular GoPro. They're $400. I've even thought about buying it
Right.
for us.
You mentioned
to
it a few
use.
times, yeah.
So that's that.
The
Right.
video itself of your show is incredibly important. I think that should be the first step. You have to prove your service exists and that it's serviceable before you get into this other piece of it. However, I think that almost equally important as you progress through your career, you're going to want to have videos of behind the scenes, who you are, different marketing videos, and all this is under the category of branded videos.
Right. So So here's the show video is one of the videos that you need.
Yeah.
Another thing that you can get, another reason for having a camera at your show is to get testimonials from people when the show is over. So you literally walk right up to them, especially the person that hired you, and say, "What did you think about the show?" They go, "Oh my God, you were fantastic. Thank you so much. We've never had this much fun." And then you say, "I've got a camera. Can you say that exact same thing on camera for me?" Pretty much 100% of the time they'll go, "Absolutely, would love to do that," because you just gave them great value. You just put on a great show. Their employees had a great time. Their kids had a great time. So literally, get a testimonial from them. A written testimonial is great for your site, but a video testimonial is
By
10
the way,
times better.
a video testimonial can also be turned into a written testimonial. You could take what
Right.
they said and write
Yeah.
it, and it's still just as legal and okay and acceptable. The
Yeah.
other thing, so I used to do this. I used to, before the show, ask the client that I knew I would ask for a testimonial before the show. Say, "Hey, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to come find you, and I want you to just say a couple of sentences about what you thought of the show. I want to catch you right when your energy is really high."
Yeah.
So I'm instilling a few things. One, I'm letting them know it's coming, so they're not put off guard. Two, let me know I want high energy. So this implies that I don't want them to be just blatantly staring at the camera, being boring. That's going to happen still sometimes. There's just people who don't have the personality for it.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot. Now it's kind of at the point, because Shane's just so quick with it, and he's always with me with the camera anyway. If somebody comes up to me after the show and says something really awesome about it, like we did this at the animal hospital we were working at, Caring Hands, the owner had mentioned something really awesome at the show, and I quickly just asked her, "Hey, you know what? That's awesome, and it does me really good to hear, but I would love to catch you on camera saying it. Would you be comfortable doing that?" And they say, "Sure." And then before the camera rolls, just say, "Hey, look at me. I want you to sound excited and just let people know what you thought about the show."
Yeah.
And it's simple. I mean, it's not rocket science. A lot of people will
Yeah.
make it really complicated. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and literally just ask them, because they're going to ask you, "Well, what do you want me to say?" So your question is, "Hey, just tell me, what did you think about the show, and would you recommend me?"
And don't be afraid to say, and seem excited about it.
Yeah, and seem excited. Yeah, absolutely. Prompt them.
People
They'll
like playing
follow
the
you.
role. They like playing the
Yeah.
part in it. They understand that. I think a lot of people put up this barrier of like, "Oh, but I want them to think that I'm like making it fraudulent." It's like, You're not. You're just
No,
saying,
you're not.
seem excited. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, if TV shows can go to people and be like, hey, I want you to walk in and be angry today to create drama within the family, you're not going to do that. You're just going to literally say, seem excited.
Yeah. All right. So what other kind of video content can you use?
Behind the scenes footage is
Behind the
amazing.
scenes.
That was one of the
Yeah.
first things that I wanted to start doing after I got good video of my show, was I wanted to show people what's in my magic case. What do I do when I get to a gig? This is a few things. One, it shows that this is your life. You're an expert. But it also gives people more content to watch, and it's something kind of unique. If they enjoy your show, they're going on like, wouldn't you love to find out how your favorite artist wrote your favorite song by them? Like, what the process was, what was going through their head? You would love to hear that. That's why behind the scenes DVDs sold so well. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. So that goes into what I was going to mention, which is clients want story, right? So story sells. So
Yeah.
what is part of your story? Well, behind the scenes is part of that. So you can literally say, hey, here's what goes into creating this show. Like, here, are a couple of things that I put in the show. Like, here's my actual personal magic case. Like, and here's the first trick that I ever learned when I was a kid. I keep it in the case. Like, here's where I'm performing today. Literally, you don't have to have a camera. Like, you can literally just use your phone and just record. All phones record 4K now. Literally
Yeah.
just put in, you can edit it right on your phone. Literally just record, hey, I was at Capital One today. I had a great time. Or, hey, I was with
Yeah.
Ronnie, who was on his 8th birthday. And
When I did
so it's like,
my summer tour, that was what I did. I didn't have a cameraman with me. I didn't have a camera. I was on the road nonstop. I couldn't be bothered to lug that in. I'd take my phone. I would get videos of people coming into the show early, just messing
Yeah.
around with them. So I wanted to communicate my brand of being a real, genuine person who's really good at connecting people and creating bonds. And so the way that I did that was before the show started, the kids who would come in like an hour early, I would take the camera and have a conversation with them and just get to know them.
Yeah.
And people loved seeing that. And then so often I'd have people who came to the show after seeing that Instagram video and they would get there early, so I would do the same thing with them.
Yeah.
That's a little side benefit of it, but I think a big part is you need to understand who you are and what you need to communicate. Just yesterday, I called Shane on the phone. I said, hey, I think I know what my story is. I think I want to communicate that here's a guy who finds a new way to have fun everywhere he goes and loves working with people so much that he gives them a great time that it got noticed by big-time companies and they ask him to come in just to be there.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story I wanted to communicate, was like, here's a guy who has so much fun that big companies notice him and bring him out and pay him lots of money to just attend their events.
Yeah.
And that's like the story I wanted to tell. It's my brand. That's what I do. That's why I dress the way I dress.
Yeah.
And your videos can be just a big backing force in not only creating that, but maybe even finding it. Because I didn't even know that's what I wanted to go for until me and Shane started this whole video process.
Yeah. So other videos that you could do is just on your own without having to have a camera that will super, super help your business is every time someone follows you online on your Facebook or on
Yes.
Instagram, send them a personal video message saying, hey, like if you're on, say they follow you on Instagram, because you should always be pushing your social medias. They follow you on Instagram. You literally click to send them a DM. Don't waste too much time. Don't think too much about it. Literally just send them a video saying,
I'll do it right
hey,
now.
I just saw that you followed me. Just wanted to say thanks a lot. It was great meeting you. Looking forward to seeing you again. Make sure you follow along on all the content. Really appreciate it.
I got some people who followed
That's
me just the other day after my show. So let's make them a video. So here we go. We've got Tanner. Okay. I'm going to send him a quick little message. Turn the video on. There you go. You can see that it's on. Hey Tanner, it's me, Chris. Just want to say thanks for the follow. I'm here making a podcast and just want to drop a hello. See you later.
That one thing right there speaks
Tanner.
volumes, and it will turn people into true believers and fans of yours because they're like, man, this guy took the time to literally send me a personal video message. Don't send them a text message. Anybody can do that, and it doesn't take very long.
And to
it's
say
not
their
as personable. And say their name.
And
yeah.
the big part of this is we have a big follow and unfollow culture. If you don't follow them back,
Yeah.
they'll unfollow you. I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to follow people back because, not that I don't want to, it's just that I can't be, I want to have my friends and my family in my feed, not a bunch of random people. So
Yeah.
when I send them this video, now they think that, oh, I think part of the reason why people want follows back is they want you to acknowledge them. I am acknowledging them in a way that's so much deeper than a follow. So for them to unfollow me, it almost feels like disloyalty,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that creating superfans is a huge way that I do that. I mean, they might see my show and be really into it and follow me, and yes, they're gonna see my content, but when I say their name, get a video of them, and then send it to them, now they feel like the content I'm releasing every day is specifically for them. It's just got
Right.
that feel to it.
Yeah. Here's another little quick tip. Say that they're not following you on there. You just did a show, right? Corporate show. Literally, the person that hired you right after the event, you should be sending out an email anyways, just saying, "Hey, I had a great time. Thanks again for having me. Let me know if you guys need anything else." Send a video out that says that instead.
Yeah.
So you can literally, I mean, I know within Gmail, I do know that there's apps out there, programs that you can do that.
Quick
but
Page will do that. They'll
yeah.
send videos embedded in an email. So as soon as they open the
Yeah, you
email,
want it in the email. So
Yeah.
literally just send a video saying, "Hey Janet, like really appreciated coming out to your company. Had a blast. Hope everyone had fun.
Yeah.
Thanks again, and looking forward to talking to you guys again."
Perfect. I
Lit-
love doing it.
10
and it makes,
seconds.
And it
10
makes you
seconds
feel
is all it
so
takes.
good inside too.
Yeah.
Like it's just a gratitude thing.
And to them, they see it as now you're one step above everybody else, because I guarantee you that the majority of people are not doing
No other
that.
magician they've hired has done that and seemed like they cared as
Yeah.
much to do that. Okay, so Shane's giving you the real work on that. That is a good tip that I didn't even know he was going to
So
put
it's
in there.
just how to leverage things, right? And
Right,
so-
hold on. So
yeah.
you gave that amazing tip. Before it gets too far off topic, I'm going to give you this amazing tip, which I didn't plan to give out to you guys. When you're filming your show and you're filming the audience, a really awesome way to get cool reaction shots to be able to cut it in, it does take editing skill, is to, before the show starts, you could do one of two things. You can have everybody cheering to say like, okay, I need you to cheer as loud as you can in 3, 2, 1. That one's okay. Even better than that, say, hey guys, I actually am going to be filming this show. I want it to look really awesome. I need you guys to practice your reaction shots. Can everybody give me the loudest round of applause? They'll do that. Cool. I want you all to look super afraid and grossed out. Awesome. I want you to look like you just saw the most amazing magic you've ever seen in your life. And you get these really cool clips of the audience reacting. So now when you do a trick in your show that's gross or scary, you can cut to that reaction footage. I know that a lot of really big time entertainers do this, especially like I know of one specifically, I won't say the name, that does that for their specials. And so that's just a cool tip that I know is what the big guys do, and I'll pass it along to you guys to get good footage, especially if your show's not at that level where you're getting those really high energy reactions. It will help.
Yeah. So those are a couple ways that you can leverage that content. Obviously, the video that you take of your shows, send that back out to clients saying, "Hey, here's just don't send them the entire video. You don't want them to have the entire show, but literally just take 2 minutes out of the show, and send that to them saying, "Hey, had a blast again. Here's just a short clip of all the fun we had and
recall
the
some
employees
information,
that
like-
you had and." Oh my God, Bill was so funny
Exactly.
with the water thing, right? Super fun, super hilarious. Hope they had a great time. Feel free to share this with your employees so that they remember how much of a great time they had as well. So you want to get as much ROI out of what you're producing as possible. So you get the ROI personally for you because you get to go watch your show and critique your own show. And then you get the ROI for sending back to the company. You even get it before you even get there because you're going to say, hey, listen, I record some things for my shows just to give you a heads up. So you're going to have a great souvenir at the end. I'll send you a couple minutes from the show so that you can remember what a great time.
Like a charm. If I'm ever
Yeah.
having a problem selling client on the phone, I can just tell they're just not entirely made up. I say, hey, oh, and I forgot to mention, just a heads up, if you guys were planning on having somebody record, that's awesome. Just know that I have a gentleman who's coming with me who owns a media company. He's filmed the pilot for Netflix. He films a show for me. He'll be there to capture some footage. So when the gig's over, I would love to send you just a clip that shows you how much fun we had.
Right.
And they're always like, what? I'm like, yeah, feel free to send it to your friends and family.
Yeah.
And the value is so strong. And what were you going to say?
No, it's just you should have as many touch points with your clients as possible.
It's called
So
staying top
another-
of mind.
Right, so it's another touch point that you can have after the fact. So you could send them, here's an idea. You send them 2 videos, one right after like the day after the event, saying, just a video on your phone, right in their email saying, hey, really appreciate it. By the way, I've got a, kind of a short clip from the performance that's coming your way in just a few days. Just be on the lookout for that. A few days later, boom, you send them that again. So, you want to be able to touch back to them as many times as possible.
Oh,
Now-
also, little things. This actually happened to me this morning. I sent a video, one of my videos, to a client that I had in the past. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. I'm just getting so excited about this. And I said, hey, look, during this trick where they pick a song and I read the song out of their mind, he picked the same song as you. And I sent it back to a client I haven't talked to in like a year and just said, hey, you should watch this video. He picks the same song that you picked. You have to have a good memory for that or a good note-taking system. But I can, not even sending it to the clients that I specifically had in that video, but sending it to clients that somehow remind me of things in the video, you can stay top of mind super easily with that.
Yeah. So now the obvious extreme of that is to hire an actual person to come in and film you, right? Which is great for your shows, first off, because they're able to move around in the audience and get really close-up reactions on people. They're able to get right behind you as you're performing. They're able to get it, to be a little bit more cinematic, if you will. Obviously, that's money involved to do that. I would suggest that if you cannot continually do that like Chris and I are doing, then at least save up, spend the money that you're making on one show, and just put that money into hiring a professional to come in and record that one show. Well, Shane, then you can use that for your promotional video, and you can have a really killer promotional video.
You probably can speak on this way better than I can because you work in the world of video. What I've been told, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, what I've been told is that you should hire, if you can't find somebody who's filmed a magic show before, hire somebody, because magic shows are super hard to film because you have to get these full bits, right?
Yeah.
You have to know when the reactions are coming, when to switch to film the audience. There's a lot to it. I was told that wedding photographers understand this on a deep level because
they move.
Yeah, they move and they know when to get those emotional shots.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been told, but maybe you have some tricks on knowing who the best to hire.
That's exactly what I did. One of the first hotel shows that I did, I hired a friend of mine who was a wedding videographer. And what I did specifically with him was we had a creative meeting about 2 weeks before the show, and I literally went through my set list. Obviously, I'm not telling him how the tricks are done, but I am telling him what the effects are. So I'm saying, here's how I open my show. Here is a high moment. Here's where the magic is going to happen. The person's going to be out on that side of the audience. So make sure that you are focusing on them when this happens. You'll hear me say this. I literally have an outline written out of what the show is and the high points in each routine and where the camera should be, so that he knows when he gets to the show, he literally has it on his phone, and you can look at it and see what's coming up next and where he needs to be. Also, these professional video guys, we had one camera at the back of the room that was the wide shot. We had another camera that was at the back of the stage facing the audience, and then he had a camera that he moved with so he can get a bunch of different shots. Also, here's another little insider tip that we came up with. Only knew it because I myself do video. We do this, if you're a magician, you know this, especially if you're a mind reader, you know the stab routine. So what we did is we set up that routine before the show even started, before people got there. We set it up on the table on the stage so he can get right up on it. Because here's the thing, you don't want that videographer to
take away from the show.
Take away from the show. You don't want him or her back and forth on the stage, walking in front of you, getting super close on you while you're trying to do something, because
it's
the focus should be on you, right?
Right,
it's distracting. So he knew that I knew that I wanted to get a close-up of that bag and then my hand coming down on it. So we just recorded that before the show even, so we recorded it in the middle of the day. The show was at night. So that later on, he can cut, we have the wide shot of my hand going up, and then when it comes down, he can now cut to that close-up clip.
And speaking of, if you're gonna if you're gonna pay good money for a good videographer, use them. I mean, have them come out early and get videos of you setting up, get B-roll footage,
get behind the scenes,
obviously the video testimonials. Make sure that they know to do that.
Yep.
One thing I found this just really helps is, and Daryl Morgan, who filmed one of my shows, is he gonna nod his head when he hears this. Introduce your videographer before he just starts coming up to people to ask what they thought of the show, because it just seems like some guy who came to the show with a camera. You should always introduce them so they know, so that they're affiliated with you, so they're more comfortable with that. We were not getting any video testimonials, and then once we introduced him, it was fine. But
also, here's another tip on if you have a professional videographer, and I didn't find this out until after the show. So if I ever have a videographer out there again, which I will at some point, make sure the audience knows that they are not in on the magic.
Yeah.
Because I do a mind reading show, and so a lot of times he's behind the audience members, recording reactions and recording what they're doing. And so later on in the show, because we had microphones set up around the room. Of course, later on I could go back and listen to that audio, which is another little tip. if you have a microphone set up in different parts of the room, you can and leave it running. You can hear what the audience says about you during the show.
Oh, yeah.
That you will not hear otherwise.
Yeah.
Very,
Not that you shouldn't put that
very
in your.
useful.
Shouldn't
Don't put that in your.
Don't
That's
put it in
only
your
for
video.
you. That's only for
Yeah.
you. Performance. It's only for you. So say at the beginning of the show, say, hey, here's Shane. He's just going to be recording video for us tonight. For me tonight. By the way, he's not in on any of the magic. He's not partnering with me. It's literally, so I even now know that in the future, I'll say, listen, I've got my videographer, Nick, walking around. So when you're writing that information, make sure you cover it up because he could be in on it. He's not, but he could be. Preface that by saying that. Yeah.
It's funny, I mentioned Daryl Morgan. The moment I mentioned him, or right after I mentioned him, he just messaged me on Instagram, which you better believe, now I'm going to send him this video and say, hey, Daryl, I mentioned you in this video, and you actually
just
messaged
you
me.
right now?
Yeah, he did message me.
That's
So,
super weird.
You better believe I'm going to send him this video when it's done and get that view on there, and he's going to appreciate that I mentioned him. So again, another touch point with people. Always be thinking, and I'm constantly thinking, although I'm not as good as it as I should be, I'm constantly thinking of who I can send to and what. Like when we were at Office Max, we caught the employee on camera and we were doing some silly stuff, but I said, hey man, if you're curious what we're doing, let me get your email. I'll email you the video when it comes out. So, and
absolutely.
then we've been in touch ever since.
So obviously Chris and I, we're the extreme. We film a weekly series. We have 2 episodes that come out a week. We have
2 podcasts.
2 podcast episodes that come out a week. We have pro tips that come out. We have live stuff that we do. There's a lot of content around that.
Plus I do 15 stories a day at least, or I try to. I get pretty close. Plus I do 2 Instagram posts a day. I'm trying to flood the internet with my content so you guys can see
we're
this.
on Twitter and
Beautiful
Facebook
face.
and LinkedIn and I mean we're all YouTube,
We're
website.
on
and,
Spotify.
we have
Apple Play.
Apple Play. We're all over the place. So obviously that costs money, right? That's that goes into you can write it off as a marketing expense, but it's still an expense that you need to think of. Obviously, don't think about doing that until you get to a certain financial level, right? So make sure that you're putting back into your business through traditional marketing means first, but video is a great way to do that. Chris has used these videos to leverage quite a bit in his business.
Not only to get more clients, but to also just help people self-select. I mean, people get scared when they hear this, but it's okay for me at my point in their career for people to see my videos and decide whether or not it's for them. If they decide it's not for them, good, because they wouldn't have liked my show anyway. If they see who I am as a person and they like me and they want to hire me, now they'll be willing to pay more because, well, not like I'm going to charge them more. They'll be more likely to pay my full rate. And they're also going to be more likely to have a good time with me. Like, I know that we mesh as a personality. They like who I am in my personal life, so it decreases the resistance so much to just be able to show up to a gig and be yourself because they know who you are. Yeah. It just really helps. And people can get a sense of the magic that you do, the way that you communicate. They just, and there's something really cool. I was thinking about this today, believe it or not, in the shower. I was having shower thoughts. I'm like, when I go on tour, it's going to be so cool that it's my first tour where I have videos. Because when people look me up, they'll be able to watch these videos. When they see me in person, imagine how much cooler that is. Like, if you see somebody on video, even if that video has 30 views, and you see this person in video and you watch their videos twice a week, and then you see that person in person at Walmart, I mean, this guy has 30 views of video. Why does it matter that you see him in person? But your brain, it just flips. It goes, here's a guy I see online. Now I'm seeing him in person. That celebrity status goes way up.
Yeah. Video content, you need to be creating as much video content as you can. Video content breeds credibility.
Think right now, who's that person on Instagram you see their post every day? And maybe you don't talk to them, maybe you barely even know who they are, but don't they seem like they're really making things move? Don't they seem like if you saw them in person, you'd be excited to talk to them? There's nothing more than consistency and volume.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that takes time. That takes energy. That takes money sometimes.
Worth it.
It's worth every penny of it. So that leads us into how do you use that to actually market yourself? We've mentioned several things, about reaching out to clients, putting it into promotional material, putting that content online. But there's also the targeted ads that you can run. Obviously, Instagram is the best. YouTube, if you can run it on YouTube, run LinkedIn ads if you're in the corporate sphere. So there's lots of different ways that you can leverage that.
And think about it
as
like
far as
this:
marketing
this
goes.
specific video we're filming, right? Like, sure, we need to get content out, and sure, we genuinely do want to give you guys educational material. I have learned a lot, and Shane has learned a lot, and it does no good sitting in our own heads. Yes, it can accrue to us more business. Yes, it can make us better experts. But holding on to this information ourselves does absolutely nothing for us. In the same way that, so think about it like this. These videos help in so many ways, because if a client stumbles upon my video, or a potential client, and they see how often I'm working, how often I'm doing shows, or how passionate I am about it, or even the fact that I take time to make videos about it on a weekly basis shows that this is something I'm invested in. People are always looking for reasons to not do something. So if they're not confident that you're 100% all in it in your own business, why in the world would you go 100% all in it for theirs? So clients are going to justify your value and justify how hard you work, and they'll be more confident in you when you put out that content. In the same way that if a client were to, sure, we're marketing this to magicians, but if a client were to stumble upon this video, they would hear me speaking about these topics, and I hope that it communicates that, hey, I know a little bit more than the average magician who's only been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to really turn my brain inside out and show you guys that nothing that I'm thinking about is things I'm trying to hold back in a way. I'm just really trying to turn this inside out and tell you guys what I know, what works for me. And I know for a fact that if it worked so well for me, there's no way it won't work for you.
Yeah, yeah. So try to get as much expansion on the content that you're creating. See.
What do you mean by that?
So obviously, paying to do ads, right? Ads,
Yeah.
super cheap. But even just the content alone, that one video of a show, you can then break that up to use on different platforms, right? So you take the testimonial and you put it on, and say it's a corporate show, because I keep going to corporate because I don't do kids shows, but you've got one video of the corporate show you did, and you've got two testimonials. So you could take both those testimonials, you put it on LinkedIn, and you say, hey, client X had a great time. Here's Sherry talking about the fantastic show that we had for their employees this year. Are you looking for great entertainment? Right? That's a great way. Now that's on. You take that testimonial and you put it on LinkedIn. You take the audio or the words out of that, and you make that a text testimonial on your website. You put both of them on Twitter. You put that testimonial on Twitter. You take a 2-minute video out of that show and you put it on Instagram and promote it on Instagram. You take a 2-minute of the show and a testimonial, and you put that together as a Facebook post and tag the company that you work for. You can take a screenshot from the performance and put that on Pinterest. You could put that on Twitter. You could put that on Facebook.
That's a good point. The video, I do pause at really funny spots and screen cap it to get photos sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of those photos are on my website right now. It's a little hard to do, but you can get some good photos out of the video. So that's why I always prioritize video over photo.
Right, and it's also why you want to have good video gears, because you can do that. So there's different ways that you can take literally one video and make a lot of pieces of content off of it, right? So leverage as much as you can out of it.
Yeah, and comment below, do you have a video series? I would love to check it out, just so personally I can learn what you guys are doing. Shane can look into it. And then also, if you don't have one, what would your topic be? What creative ideas do you have? I'm not going to steal your ideas. I just want you guys to use it as an exercise. Yeah. So comment below and let us know. And in the future, I would love to have Shane do a play-by-play on what he does each week to make this work, because Shane does he puts out content in a way that I think is really systematic and useful. I don't know if that would apply to everybody. I'd love to do another episode on that. So if you're interested, again, comment below and let us know if you want to hear that.
Yeah, and if you have any questions whatsoever about gear to use, cameras to buy, just video, marketing on social media using video, then please just send me a message.
At Shane Patrick Cruz. And for me, if you want to see this,
ShanePatrickCruz@gmail.com.
If you want to see this video content live and get to experience exactly what we're talking about and get a firsthand look at it, at Chris Mike Mike Magic on Instagram. That's just going to show you guys what we do, the type of video that we make, and exactly everything that we just talked about is live and in action on that page.
Yep. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. All right.
Thanks,
Peace.
guys.
See you guys.